Okay, good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock and it's time to call the June 23rd, 2025 Committee of Council for Three Rivers, Town of Three Rivers to order. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Epiwik, Prince Edward Island. Mi'kmaqi is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. So I'll have a mover and a second for the approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor McFarland, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jenkins. Any additions, comments, or? Okay, hearing none. Okay. Please. All in favor? Okay, that's better. I just should say that we have regrets from Councillor Spin tonight. He won't be here. So the next is disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there anybody that's in a conflict of interest with any of the items on our agenda this evening? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Number 4 on our agenda is the adoption of the May 26th Committee of Council minutes. The draft minutes are enclosed in your package. If need a mover and a seconder for those. Moved by Councillor Van Dyke and second by Councillor McDonald. Any comments or any minutes, any items arising from those minutes? Yep. Go ahead, Councillor McFarland.
Do we have a start date for the streetscape lights? ETA?
I'll pass that question on to Dorothy.
We just had official confirmation that the PO was issued today, so we're at least 6 weeks out.
Okay, any other comments or issues on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the agenda as presented? Aye. Okay. Presentations and delegations. Tonight, I think we have 2 speakers. I have my paper here. Our first speaker is Janice McBeth, and her topic is change of use and permitted use and zoning. If Janice would like to come to the podium.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello,
there,
good
you're
evening.
on now.
Okay. Tonight I'm speaking about permitted uses in zones, my favorite topic, bylaws. And my name's Janice McBeth from Victoria Cross. So good evening, everyone. I'm bringing up 2 bylaw issues this evening. The first one I've started to address with the CEO, and I was awaiting a response about the property located at 364 Campbell Avenue, the former Kingswood Center. So there's been a lot of chatter in the community about trespassing in people's properties. One gentleman in particular had to actually go to the police about people traveling through his yard. And I was trying to figure out, so this provincial building, it was bought for $1.475 million, I think, by the PEI Department of Housing last year. And it's got, I think, 11 units. And when I spoke to the CEO, he said it was not a halfway house, because that's how I identified it. Probably not the proper term, but that was the term in the bylaw previously used. So I was advised that it's actually a facility for people that need light assistance, and it's being coordinated with the housing coordinator, Cheryl Painter and Jason Doyle. And they help with, they're housing navigators, I guess, and they help with clients with complex needs. Complex needs is the latest term for people that have issues with addiction. And as of the latest report by Carleen Donnelly, Housing First models are going to be spread all over Prince Edward Island. I believe at this point in time, that is actually what's happening right now at the Kingswood Center. And in the bylaw, in the zone, it's an R3, and there is no supportive housing listed in an R3. Therefore, I believe it's against the bylaw. It's not a group home. It's not a daycare. And it's not a bed and breakfast. Is it a residential care facility? That's there. I'm looking to find out if this is in a bylaw infraction or not. I believe it is.
We can pass your concerns along to planning and have a look at it, I don't
Well,
think.
I did make the bylaw complaint 2 weeks ago to the CEO, and he was going to run it by the bylaw officer. Okay. Okay, so that's great. So I believe it's in contravention of your bylaw and permitted uses. So the next issue that I wanted to bring up, it's also the exact same type of scenario. This is in regards to 945 Route 17. There is now, this is, once again, this is in the rural zone, or you can call it rural residential, however you want to call it, but the Eco Sun Hotel is running at 945 PEI Route 17. The Eco Sun, or sorry, it's a hostel. It's a hostel. So there's no hostel in the list for rural in the bylaws. So it's also operating not within the permitted uses in the bylaw in the zone. So we have two situations that are not operating, either the occupancy or the use is not permitted in the zone. So those are two bylaw infractions. So could we pass that one along as well? The other concern I have with the Eco Sun Hotel is this. It's open to females only.
And that's a problem?
That's a problem. Well, to me, it's kind of a problem because I feel like we live in a world where people should be, you know, equitable, diverse. So I guess my first question would be female only, so that doesn't include men, it doesn't include children. Does it include transgender women? Do we know?
Why does that, how does that become a Town of Three Rivers issue?
No, it's just my own concern. It's
Yeah.
actually against the bylaw, so I just wanted to make sure you know that.
Well-
It's against the bylaw, but I do have a problem because I feel that it's a discriminatory practice. To just refer to one sex and one sex only is a discriminatory practice. And
Janice,
I don't believe that part of your vision or values, which includes inclusivity and diversity, that is part of your values.
Okay, we'll pass along your concerns, Janice, and, Danielle, did you have some, did you wanna, no? Okay, we'll pass along your concerns. Yep,
To an R3 use, you are allowed multi-unit.
Yeah, but it's a light assistance social housing.
So we approved it as a multi-unit, which is what we approved it as. The
But it's
province,
social housing. No, hold on, it's social housing with assistance. Yeah, sure.
You're asking a question.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to be rude here, but when one person's talking, can we at least let her
Sure.
answer before you interrupt?
Okay, sure.
You know, we've given you 5 minutes.
No, I haven't had my 5 minutes.
Well,
I haven't had my 5 minutes. Who's timing me? Okay, folks.
okay,
So it's a,
one person at a time.
okay, sure.
Danielle, you have
Please
the
go
microphone,
ahead.
yeah,
please.
so it's approved as a multi-unit dwelling, which it is a multi-unit dwelling. As far as if the province, who the province houses in there, as far as if they are vulnerable population, as you would describe it, that is, we can't control that. It's not a group home, it was approved as a multi-unit residential dwelling, and the province confirmed with us that is what it is. As
Okay.
far as the
So it's
route,
housing
as far
vulnerable
as the
people.
Route 17, as far as the Route 17 thing, that was a non-conforming use, and it continues to be a non-conforming use, so that's why there's a hostel there.
When was that approved? At council here? When we're,
It was non-conforming. It was a non-conforming use.
no, the fourplex was a non-conforming use. The building they're renting out is actually the main building. If you go online, it's not the fourplex you approved. It's the building, it's the other building, Danielle.
We have Danielle explain further.
So it's a non-conforming use. It was a non-conforming use when we amalgamated, or not when we amalgamated, but when we had our new Three Rivers bylaw. We have many non-conforming uses throughout Three Rivers.
Okay.
And that was considered one of them.
Can I have the
that
record of
property.
that? Can I have the date, the time, the meeting minutes when that was approved as a non-conforming? 'Cause
It's
I don't remember
no,
that
it's non-conforming. Once we adopt a new set of bylaws or an official plan for the town, then there's many non-conforming uses because they were all permitted under previous official plans and bylaws within the,
Please show me where that is,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not even under special uses.
Janice, what she's saying is, there's a number of non-conforming uses because now, when amalgamation happened, and
where
it's
can I
not
find that list,
possible.
Mayor?
Can anybody finish? I'm sorry. Can we finish?
Smile.
There is a number of non-conforming uses.
Okay.
And they are grandfathered in because we.
Grandfathered in.
Not,
whoa.
isn't that isn't that correct?
Grandfathered in? You're grandfathering in zoning. Is that what you're telling me?
No, it was already non-conforming. And
I'd like a record of the non-conforming use for the hostel, because I beg your pardon, it was not non-conforming prior.
yeah, we'll provide a
Can I just
response.
respond? It was not non-conforming prior. It was listed as a residential care facility.
And it was still non-conforming. We'll reply to your concerns, Janice. Thank
Okay,
you. The
okay,
CAO,
so I
the
just-
CAO has one more
Thank
thing.
you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah. It'd be nice, Janice, if you could give us a chance to answer. I know, but if you're asking us a question, please allow us to respond.
Okay.
And the CAO,
I don't miss much here, and I don't remember this being a non-conforming use for a hospital. There was a Shady Rest facility for seniors there. How is a female-only hostel comparable to a facility that housed seniors?
it wasn't conforming in the first place. The Shady West facility was not in conformance. So that's, but
So this is a
John,
residential care facility for seniors then?
John, would you like to say something?
I was just going to mention something about 265 Campbell Road. So the folks you mentioned, Jason Doyle and Cheryl Painter, they're not housing navigators. One is the CEO of housing, PI Housing. The other one is a director with the department. And they told me that the 11 units, the folks that are living there all have signed a one-year lease. And the other item you had mentioned, a number of legal issues or complaints, and I shared those with the RCMP. They told me they had a total of 3 calls to that facility. It's not a place of concern. They did identify one person that was drunk, but that happens all over Three Rivers.
So there's only so many things that are under our control.
So basically, this is a housing first model operating in a highly densely populated area with children. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what.
Janice,
There. And
Janice, excuse me, but you've had more than your 5 minutes. So we will move on to Derek Nicholson. Derek, could you please come to the mic, Derek? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Ann, did you want to make a response? Derek, please come to the microphone.
I just want to clarify something that Ms. Macbeth just said. I have come to know one of the residents at 364 Campbell Avenue, and she lives there. She does not have a drug or alcohol or mental health issue. The building she was living in was sold. She found herself in need of housing, and she was told that she could live there until she finds somewhere else to live. And she did sign a one-year lease, and she is living there, and she's gainfully employed in the community. And so I just want to correct the record that I think everyone deserves a home, but I think we also need to make sure that people, we don't accept misrepresentation at the microphone.
Okay, thank you, Ann. No, misinformation is getting to be a big problem in our society throughout. Welcome, Derek. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Derek Nicholson, and I live in Lower Montague. I want to thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me the privilege of speaking to council. It's a privilege to come to the microphone and speak. It's not a right.
Thank you. I very much say that, recognize you for that.
So one of the things that I'm fascinated with in Three Rivers is this topic of housing. And I'm not an expert on housing, but I lean on people who are experts in housing and have some good information. In fact, the CMHC just released a new study on housing for Canada, June of 2025. I'm not sure if you received a copy of it, but I'm hoping that you'll look over it. It has some fascinating information that I think you can use as council to help develop a framework in Three Rivers. The housing supply in Canada, it says in this report, needs to increase significantly. And in fact, this report states that it needs to double the 4,300 homes every year until 2035. So there's an awful lot of housing that needs to get done. It says the substantial increase compared to the current projected rate of approximately 2,500 new housing units is what they projected, and now it's at 4,800 units across Canada. What happened with this study, it says if they went with the business as usual scenario, they wouldn't be able to keep up with the projected cost of replacing the units that they need. And in fact, this report is so well done, it also included regional breakdown by statistics, by population, and the increase that's needed in each area. In fact, some of the places across Canada, in fact, Toronto, needs to increase their housing units by 71.5% to meet up with the projected increase that was needed in 2019. So if they double the housing that they said in the last fund, we're still going to be back to 2019 with housing. Ottawa is 155%. Ontario overall is 227%. Montreal is 209. So we can see these housing numbers are big right across the country. In the Atlantic region, Nova Scotia needs an additional housing units per year of 7,092 for an increase of 130%. Newfoundland and Labrador, no increase. And I don't know why that is in the report. I just pulled this out from it. New Brunswick, no additional supply. And Prince Edward Island overall, to meet up with the 2019 standards, there needs to be 904 additional units built every year for an increase of 70.8%. It says in this report, the estimated supply is needed to restore affordability to a pre-pandemic level by 2035, a change from previous aspirations of returning to early 2000 levels, which were deemed unrealistic. It says in this report, the goal for the adjusted house price home buying affordability ratios to be no higher than 30% of the average gross household income. Wow, 30% of your income? If I took 30% of my income, where would I live, Martina? I don't know, but that's the goals. That's what's being given to you as a council, some expectations that's heading right across the country. And here's what I like in this report. In this report, it says to achieve the increase in supply, we will require action from everyone. See, housing is not a council issue. Housing is not the CAO's issue or the planner's issue. Housing, from where I sit, it's a community issue. The community needs to take ownership. and say, we can be part of the solution. We're either part of the solution or we're part of the problem. And there's some significant challenges in 19 seconds. It includes, we need a greater workforce, more private sector investment, a change in technology, and productivity such as automation and modular construction can help lead to an increased supply and lower prices. And I know the town has a housing accelerator fund, and it also has a housing report that is due, and I look forward to reading it. To council, please keep pressing on to provide housing because we need it.
Yep.
To the staff, thank you. The door is always open. In fact, I got a call from a staff member today at 8:30. Yes, I see a sticky note here. You want to see me? Come right into my office.
Okay.
The door is always open.
Derek, yeah, we allowed you a little bit more time there. Thank you very much. It is a very tough housing market, very tough to afford single-family dwellings for sure, and we thank you for bringing those points forward. I didn't realize that 908 units per year. Yes, we do have a housing study coming that will be shared, so
Yes.
we'll see how that compares with. Any questions for Derek? Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Your Worship. Derek, you mentioned the 900 units per year.
Yes.
Are we talking two-room?
It just said in this
two-bedroom or
report,
one room?
907 units.
Or not half,
Can,
like a
excuse
house
me,
or an apartment?
excuse me, can we just, we have a speaker speaking and somebody asking questions. It's nice to be able to hear. Go ahead, John.
Is it a unit is a house or is it a two-bedroom apartment?
Well,
or?
just, I can look it up here. Just one sec.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can go through the report anyway.
Well, I'll just see where it says how many units here, and let's see if it breaks down what it is. It just says units,
Units,
so I don't know if that means if you built a single-family dwelling, if that's considered as one unit.
Yeah.
I didn't get that deep into the weeds in the report, but we need to build twice as many as we're building today. We need twice as many people to build them, and we need to get everybody on board. It's everybody's fault.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you, Derek. Any other questions? Any other comments, Derek? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For respecting council and, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Yep, okay, next we have a presentation. Do we have? Okay, so I want to introduce Tess Donahue. She's with Natural Forces, a renewable energy company based in Halifax. And they're going to do a short presentation for us. Welcome, Tess. John will help you get set up there.
Just gotta get in here. Take a minute to warm up. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
you have the floor.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. As you mentioned, my name is Tess Donahue, and I am a project manager at Natural Forces, a renewable energy company from Halifax. And I'm here to present on our proposed wind project in the Three Rivers area. So this is just a quick agenda. We'll go through an introduction of ourselves at Natural Forces and our partners at Lennox Island, and then an overview of the proposed project and the location, and then take you through just a brief look at ongoing work and next steps, and then, of course, any time for questions. So Natural Forces, as I mentioned, is a renewable energy company or a private independent power producer founded and headquartered in Halifax. We've been active in the renewable energy sector since 2001 with wind, solar, storage, and hydro projects in operations across Canada, and then also in development throughout Canada, Ireland, and France. Our business model has us partnering with Indigenous communities and First Nations mainly, but also with universities, corporations, and smaller community economic development funds. And kind of our business model is that we develop, finance, construct, operate, and own our projects for the lifetime. So we are a dedicated team with proven results. So we've been active for 20 plus years, delivering renewable energy projects on time and on budget, in partnership with those Indigenous communities, universities, and other community entities. So at present, we have about 350 megawatts of operational renewable energy projects in Canada, as well as thousands of megawatts of assets in early, mid, and late stage development, and also in construction in Canada, and then development in France and Ireland. So our partner for this project is Lennox Island First Nation. So most of you probably know Lennox Island First Nation, but they are a Mi'kmaq community here in PEI, and approximately 450 residents live on the island in Malpeque Bay off the northwest coast with an access point via bridge. Lennox Island believes in achieving energy sovereignty through developing, owning renewable energy projects. So they would be the majority owner of this project. And we're also partnered with them on another development that we have, which is the Wedgepeck Wind Project in the kind of Middleton area. And that one has received environmental assessment approval, and we're just kind of working through the final kinks on that project. So the proposed project, as I mentioned, is being developed in partnership with Lennox Island. And right now we're looking at about 4 to 5 turbines. These are the Enercon E175 turbines that we're currently looking at. So they're 7 megawatts each. So the project could total up to 35 megawatts of energy, which is enough to power approximately 11,500 homes on PEI. So the project is situated on privately owned lands, which are largely used for agriculture as well as some forestry activities. So this is kind of the general site plan. Those are kind of the environmental features as well as the private lands. And then that purple area is the area in which we could put turbines. So yeah, this is kind of generally where it sits. This is I'm realizing how zoomed out it is, but that's kind of generally where the project sits. So it's kind of the Cardigan North area. So we chose this location due to its favorable wind resource, proximity to the electrical infrastructure. Hopefully there's a nice transmission line running just north of the site, as well as setback from residences. It's pretty far from all protected lands. There's already some disturbed agricultural land, and then there's an existing road network as well. So in terms of ongoing work, to date we have secured the land through land agreements with these private landowners, and we've begun our environmental assessment work. So we've completed the environmental scoping and desktop studies, and then begun the spring environmental field studies, and continuing with our summer environmental field studies right now. And then kind of our ongoing work, here we're starting off our regulator and government engagement. It's really important for us, transparency and kind of engagement right from the beginning of our projects. And then we'll hopefully move into community engagement soon, and then installing wind instrumentation to measure the wind more accurately in the area, and then also looking into interconnection studies with Maritime Electric. So that is everything that I have, and now time for questions. Also, my email is up there. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to me directly as well.
Okay, do we have any questions for Tess? Anybody? Okay, Cody?
We had a wind sort of power study done. Did you see that report that was done for Three Rivers?
We haven't. We have heard about it. I think it was
Something
done
we
kind of
probably
in.
could share with them, right? By Carl Brothers. Frontier
When I
Power
met
Systems.
with Tess, I mentioned that we had one of these, our wind
Yeah.
energy, our renewable energy study.
Yeah.
And I can share that.
Sure, that would be great. Yeah.
Anybody else? Reggie, go ahead.
So this is a go-ahead? It's already an approved project?
This one is not. So our kind of steps for we're starting our environmental studies now, and then that would be registered with the province and the environmental assessment. And then other things that we would need to do are those interconnection studies, and also chat with Maritime Electric or probably Maritime Electric, about a power purchase agreement. So someone to purchase the energy. And then any other permitting that needs to be done based on kind of the provincial regulations and any municipal regulations as well. So this is very early stages, not
Okay.
permitted yet.
Yeah, okay. Would any of these components or products be made in Three Rivers? I know we have a plant here in Georgetown. Is that part of the project? Could it, or would it be part of the project?
What specific components are you?
Oh, the actual,
The turbines. So we typically purchase our turbines from Europe,
Okay.
a German company called Enercon. That's typically who we work with. But there are any other materials that we use in our projects, we like to source locally as much as possible. So the turbine components themselves will come from Europe, but anything that we can get locally, we do.
Okay.
That's our aim, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. John? Go ahead, John.
So you got 5 turbines planned?
Up to 5, it'll probably be 4 or 5. It just depends on kind of spacing, the wind direction, things like
Right.
that. Yeah.
And it's in the Glen Fanning area?
Yeah, Cardigan North, Glen Fanning, kind
And
of.
you have all the land secured by lease or by,
So right now it's
yeah.
an option to lease agreement, which in the future would turn into a lease if the project is constructed.
okay.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
One really quick
Yep.
question. Tess, if everything lined up, what would your hope to generate your first megawatt?
Well, we typically like to give about 1.5 to 2 years for our environmental permitting, just to make sure everything, we get the full study of every season. And then I'd say the fastest timeline would have construction. I'd say the fastest timeline would have power being generated in 2029, but that would be pretty ambitious. It's possible, but it would be ambitious.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, go ahead, Martine.
I'm just curious, like you mentioned, you develop and finance the project. So we've had presentations here before along this line where there was a big, piece of the pie had to come from, taxpayers and whatever. So you do your projects based on like government funding, all kinds of partners, or would there be an ask from the taxpayers of Three Rivers? I'm just asking.
No, there wouldn't. Our projects, if government funding is available through like Enercan or something like that, we typically apply for that to, support the project. But our projects are financed through debt financing with large lenders. So it is privately owned and operated. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd
Okay.
be wonderful.
Yeah. Not too many projects come here that they're not going to cost us anything, so yeah, we'd look forward to one. Okay, thank you very much, Tess. Thanks for taking the time to come to tell us about this.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to 7.1, which is reports. The first report, 7.1, is the Three Rivers Sportsplex. It's in your package. And I don't believe we have anybody here to make the report, but it's pretty straightforward. They're closed for the season, so it's a relatively short report. Any questions, we can pass them on to the Sportsplex board to answer. Any questions on that report? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to 7.2, which is the Monica Waterfront Development Corporation quarterly report. And that's a fairly long report, as there's lots of things taking place down there. Everything from e-bikes to kayaks to potentially a ferry that would run from local marinas. So anyway, there is quite a bit on that report. I hope you've had a chance to read it. Any questions or comments on that report? Yeah. I'm not sure if the e-bikes are available to rent at this today. Okay. Yeah, I've been asked a lot of questions about that. So a lot of people looking forward to that. Okay, and the kayaks were there last year, so, yeah. Any question? Go ahead, Ann.
Just a comment that, they're hoping there is additional staff for coordinating during the, Arts and Cultural Festival. Do we normally have more staff for?
We'll have to talk with the manager about that. Yeah, I'm not sure if they mean our staff or,
I'm on that board.
Yeah, okay,
I can speak to that a little bit. Well, while it's a really, really busy weekend, voter-wise, and then I know last year they encountered, setting up music equipment, for the next entertainers. There was a lot of that, and the staff had to leave the office and had to leave the voters to run. And I experienced it firsthand, and I thought, where is everybody? And they were all over setting up the music equipment for the next entertainer. And so they were hoping this year to have some extra staff from the town, just during that weekend, for that part of it. It's just what they talked about.
There hasn't been any requests.
has Brogan been in touch with, could you tell Brogan to get in touch with the
Yeah,
town
I will.
staff then?
I will, yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is there hasn't been any requests so far,
Not
so
even.
if he wants to touch base with Dorothy, it'd be a good time to do it now. Yeah. Cindy?
Excuse me. You said that the e-bikes were available today?
I understood they were starting
And are
to
they
rent them
just from
today.
the Montague waterfront, or are they all over George?
No, they're in Georgetown and Cardigan.
And if someone stops with an e-bike down in Georgetown, they have the facility closed over for it?
Pardon me?
I say, if someone drops an e-bike off in Georgetown at the shed,
Yeah,
is it secure?
yeah. I don't know if it's secure yet. They were in the basement when I was there the other day.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know that building's not secure.
I was there on Friday.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Okay, and our last is 7.3, the King's Playhouse Quarterly Report. I don't believe we have anybody here for that. That's quite a lengthy report. If you've had a chance to look at it, we can pass on any questions if we can't answer them. No questions on that report? It looks like there's a lot going on there too. Okay. Next is 8 is request for decisions, which we don't vote on, but we make a decision the council makes a decision whether they move forward or not. So the first one is 7.8.1, it's request for decision 25-18, development permit fees amendment, legal agreement. So I'll let Danielle handle that, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report of the Planning and Development Officer concerns a review of the fees charged for development agreements and subdivision agreements. The objective of the amendments is to reduce the financial risk to the town when applicants withdraw from the drafting process and to improve cost recovery with staff-prepared agreements. So the key message is the town of Three Rivers is updating its fee structure for development and subdivision agreements to better reflect the staff time and administrative resources required and to reduce financial risk to the municipality. A $2,500 refundable deposit will now be required when legal services are engaged to prepare or amend a development agreement. This change ensures that costs are borne by the applicant rather than the town if a development proposal is not completed. So the request is to amend the fees to Schedule A of the fee bylaw, number 2019-09 as recommended.
Okay, Councillor McFarland?
Thank you, Your Worship. So I take it from the comments that there were some issues regarding repayment. Do we have anything on accounts receivable from past applicants?
Go ahead, Danielle.
So, we don't have anything on accounts receivables yet as far as something that is owed back to the town, but there's potential for that to happen if we don't have some type of deposit down prior. So as of now, there's nothing that's not collectible, but that doesn't mean there might not be something in the future.
Yeah, but we do have methods to recoup that money that we've already put in.
We don't, that's why we need this amendment. Yeah. So it protects the town from bearing the cost of a development agreement if somebody chooses to just walk away and not to further the development.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is this is office time that's been put in
So
already?
there's two different things being proposed. One is if it doesn't go to legal, then there's a slight change to that deposit. But if it's something that needs legal advice on it, then there's that $2,500 deposit just to ensure that we don't kind of get stuck with the legal bill if somebody doesn't decide to develop,
Yeah,
because we could right now.
but there's nothing in the works right now that's standing out that the town's gonna be stuck with.
Well, there's no outstanding receivable, but there could be potential.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Can I just point out, there wouldn't be anything receivable now because we have no ability to recoup any of that money under our current system. So under our current system, if we had a lawyer do some work on a development agreement and the person stopped to decided to walk away with it, we're paying the bill. The town is paying the bill, and it wouldn't be a receivable because we don't have the ability. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, sort of. So right now, if somebody was approved for development and part of the condition was to get a development agreement, that they needed a development agreement. So within the development agreement, there's a list of conditions that need to be met. So they may receive a permit for development with a condition on a development agreement, which has various conditions within. So they may run into a point where actually, you know what, we don't want to do this anymore. So therefore, we're paying the cost of that development agreement to the lawyer. If they do proceed with the development and can meet all conditions, then it does say within that agreement that they have to pay the legal cost, and then the agreement's registered against their deed, I believe. Yeah.
I'm just getting at, we don't have anything in legal now that's in the works that we're gonna be stuck with.
Well, we do have some development agreements that are still outstanding because the development hasn't been completed. Like the conditions haven't been met on the development agreement, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be. It's just something that has been raised that there could potentially happen.
Okay, thank you.
We're just, I guess the whole concept is that we're just trying to save ourselves the cost of legal fees. We have enough legal fees lately, but it's just that we want to make sure we're not stuck with $2,500 when somebody says.
Or more.
Or more, like Danielle says, when somebody decides they don't want to do anything. Okay, any more comments? Okay, move it, okay. So council's wishes to move it forward. Okay, 8.2 is request for decision on Cardigan Playground, and I'll let Dorothy go ahead with that request.
Thank you, Your Worship. The playset in the Village Green in Cardigan is nearing its useful life, and a new play structure was included in the town's capital budget for this year. Applications for funding have been sought, and a decision is expected in the coming weeks. Quotes we received for playground structures were from JIL Engineering and Construction for $123,900 plus HST. It includes the excavation, installation, and a protective surface. Play Power Little Tykes, $127,803 plus HST, includes installation. The site prep was by others, and it did not include a protective surface. The structures are rated for 18 months to 12 years and are aimed at being a great addition to the green space. The objective is to have this structure installed this fall should funding of $100,000 become available. The current playground will remain in place until it's necessary to remove it. The Cardigan Playground is scheduled for another inspection this year just to ensure that it still meets industry standards. And so the request tonight is to purchase a playground structure offered by JL Engineering and Construction Incorp. should application for funding be successful. And this request is coming through because we realize it's getting late in the year, and in order to try and have this installed, should funding become available, if we can get approval it just will speed up the actual application or the purchase of the equipment.
Okay, comments, questions? Go ahead, Councilor Monroe.
Yeah, there's been quite a few young families in Cardigan looking for this the last few years. I recommend moving JIL Engineering ahead.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, I'm hearing that we'll move it forward. Okay, 8.3 is a request for a digital sign, and that, Dorothy? And I'll also let Dorothy handle that request.
Thank you, Your Worship. The town of Three Rivers has 3 digital signs that are used to advertise meetings, special events, and to provide information to residents. The digital sign in Georgetown is the oldest and is occasionally unreliable. A replacement was budgeted for in the current Three Rivers budget. Quotes were sought and only one estimate was received. Dalmac has quoted a Watchfire 8mm full-color digital sign. The sign is similar to the one that was replaced in Montague 3 years ago. The estimate includes a digital sign board installation and connection to data so the sign can continue to be updated remotely. Power to the sign is already present and can be utilized. Digital signing currently has not been affected by tariffs. They don't foresee it, but again, that's not known. The estimate is $24,251.65 plus HST for a total of $27,889.40. The amount, $24,251.65, would be sourced from current operations. So the request is to purchase a new digital sign.
Okay, comments, questions on this? Go ahead, Cindy. Too many around, okay.
Is that for the digital sign? Oh,
Oh, go ahead, Martina.
is that for the digital sign in Montague? Georgetown, okay. Okay, I missed that. Just needs-
Thank you, Your Worship. This has been a long time coming for us. I'm always complaining about the Georgetown sign. I think we should move this ahead right away. It's great to see the Montague sign displaying such vibrant colors and different displays. So I'm looking forward to that being in Georgetown. And also hopefully Cardigan is going to be updated as well. So we're going to look at that as well. So thank you, finally.
Okay. Okay, Alan?
The sign in Cardigan, we had problems in the past with people complaining about the brightness. I guess the sign coming into Georgetown really isn't around any houses closely, right?
No,
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to look at that when the time comes in Cardigan.
yes, yeah. Okay, anybody else? So we wish to move this ahead? Okay, so we'll move it ahead. 8.5 is request for decision 25-21, loan renewal, and I'll let Danielle handle this.
Thank you, Worship. The town holds a loan that reached maturity on June 1st, 2025. The principal amount requiring renewal is approximately $141,375. The request is that council authorizes staff to obtain quotes from financial institutions regarding interest rates and terms and to report back with the findings at the next council meeting for the council's consideration and decision.
Any comments or questions for Danielle on the loan renewal? Move it forward? Okay, so that'll be moved forward. The next is 8.6, request for decisions, HR services. Did I miss 8.5? Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry. Okay, so I'll let John look after that, sorry about that.
Thank you, Worship. MC Advisory has been providing human resource services to the town of Three Rivers since 2023. The contract was renewed in June 2024 for an additional year. MC Advisory services include on-call support for labor relations, conflict resolution, and on-site assistance. They also provide policy review, support with reviewing and updating job descriptions, employee engagement services, recruitment assistance, and help with negotiating job offers for new staff. The town's management team is pleased with the level of service provided by MC Advisory and their team of HR professionals. We are recommending that council renew the contract with MC Advisory for the 25-26 fiscal year. The monthly cost under the current contract is $2,916 per month. The proposed monthly rate for the new contract will not change and will remain at $29.16. In accordance with the town's procurement policy TRF4 2022, professional services such as legal, accounting, planning, and engineering may be extended without a competitive process. if council believes that the provider's accumulated knowledge of the town and its operations outweigh any potential cost savings from issuing a tender. It is a recommendation from myself and the management team that the town renew the HR services contract with MC Advisory for the 25-26 year. And a request is to renew the town's contract with MC Advisory for HR services for the 25-26 year at a monthly cost of $2,916 per month.
Okay, questions for John on this request? Go ahead, John. Yeah, Dorothy's.
Should continue, they know our business, so I think we're in good hands with them.
Okay,
Yeah, we're very pleased with the
Yep.
support we get. And they are on site here and meet with staff on a regular, not just the management team.
okay. Anybody else, any other comments? Okay, I'm hearing to move that request forward. The next is request for bylaw enforcement, 8.6. I'll turn that over to John as well.
Thank you, Your Worship. The town's current service provider for bylaw enforcement has been delivering without a formal contract for several years. While their support has been appreciated, it is now an appropriate time to review the service arrangement to ensure it continues to meet the evolving needs of our growing community and aligns with best practices in municipal service delivery. At present, bylaw enforcement is provided 1 day per week. We believe this level of service is adequate for the time being. However, as the population and development activity in Three Rivers continue to increase, service levels may need to be reviewed and potentially expanded in the future. We would like to issue an RFP, which would allow the town to formalize expectations and responsibilities through a current contract, evaluate service delivery models and pricing, ensure fairness and transparency in procurement, and position ourselves to scale services as needed. The request is to issue a request for proposal for bylaw enforcement for Three Rivers.
Okay, questions, comments for John on this request? Go ahead, Councillor McFarland.
Yeah, definitely time we look at another service and go ahead with the RFP.
Okay, so I'm here and move it ahead? Okay, move it forward, and that brings us to our last request for decision, 25-24, the Cardigan Fire Hall expansion, and John is the lead on that as well.
I'll recuse myself from this one.
Pardon me?
I'll recuse myself from this decision.
Okay, well, we're not doing a vote anyway, but that's good. Turn off.
Yeah, we need, Dorothy, can you turn your mic off and,
Okay.
usually we're telling you to turn it on. but-
So the background on this, it's been 20 years since the last addition to the Cardigan Fire Hall. During that time, the number of emergency response calls have steadily increased and the demands on our volunteer fire department have grown significantly. To continue meeting these needs and to ensure the safe and effective operation of fire service in Cardigan, an expansion is required to house essential trucks and equipment. The lot on which the current fire hall sits can accommodate the proposed 16 by 64 foot addition, allowing the department to make full use of the available space without the need for land acquisition or relocation. This project has been included in the town's capital budget and is eligible for funding through the Community Capacity Building Fund. This would be a new CCBF project which would require a new capital and investment plan to be submitted to infrastructure. We are requesting town to approve a revised capital investment plan to infrastructure so that the town can use CCBF funds toward the project in the amount of $280,000 plus HST. Following this, the town will proceed with a request for proposals for the addition. And again, the key messages here is the project is included in the town's capital budget, is eligible for funding support, and the existing lot can support the proposed expansion, making it a timely and strategic investment in public safety. So the request is that council approve staff to submit a new capital investment plan to infrastructure under the Canadian Community Building Fund for $280,000 plus HST to accommodate an addition on the Cardigan Fire Hall. And I'll just add one more comment that's not in your report, is that the fire hall is currently, the fire department is currently using a remote site for storage of some equipment, and that's adding to the time that they can timely respond to a call if they have to get one. So this is a necessary improvement.
Move it forward, okay, no problem with that. Just before we move into our closed session, I did have some information for Mr. Hicken tonight, but I don't think he's here. No? Okay, we'll save it for the next meeting. So right now, we're going to go in a closed session per MGA Section 119(1)E. Some matters that are still under consideration, so we will have to ask everybody to leave as this is the end of this portion of our meeting. So I need a motion to close the meeting. Okay, all in favor? Okay, and we will be opening the meeting up to adjourn it after our closed session. Oh. Who's second? Cindy. Alan and Cindy. Okay, thank you. Everyone? Okay, so, motion to open the meeting again to the public? Did we already do that? Okay, sorry. Okay, so, as a result of the closed meeting, we have a recommendation to move the request from the, Village of Cardigan Heritage, Cardigan Heritage Board, to, take over the Heritage Building in Cardigan. We're gonna move that forward to the next council meeting. Okay, does everybody want to move that forward? Okay, okay. We will move that forward to the next council meeting, and that is, the only thing that came out of our closed meeting, so motion to adjourn. Moved by Alan, second by John. Okay? So, good evening and thank you.